Terrie Christine, I am so grateful to have you on the Human to Human podcast. Welcome, my friend.
Oh, thank you for having me. I am so excited. Every time I do one of these, I get so excited.
I feel like you've got a lot of energy. Would that be accurate?
No.
So that no means yes.
Yes, I do. I have a lot of energy. I live in the space of all that is. I feel like myself as an expanded being. Like, I teach intuitive development. So I visualize us as like these dream catchers. You've seen those little things the Native Americans make. And I feel like we all are that when we're expanded, we're like this dream catcher.
I love that. I love that analogy. And I want to dive into the episode. There's so many things I want to talk about. Definitely want to hit home subconscious limiting beliefs. I love how you talk about this concept of stop watering dead flowers, and you can't do it alone. So decide what you need and what you want. So we're going to dive into all of those amazing things. But first, tell me and tell the listeners, who is Terrie and what brought you here today?
Oh, so, without spending half of the show talking about my story, but it's like most, you get to a point in your life, and depending on how much trauma is in that part of the life, can be the catalyst to moving you in the direction of where you want to be. And I'm not just saying on the physical aspect, I am talking about the spiritual, intuitive aspect. And so I found myself at the end of a relationship. It was 14 years, 2 children. We were not married. I wanted to be. And I just couldn't get that love that I wanted out of him. Hand holding, I just couldn't. He wasn't that type. And if anyone is listening, and even you have ever experienced that, wanting something from someone and not a physical thing, it was more of an emotional thing that you could wrap around like a warm tub, right? And I just couldn't get it. And it was not a good place to be. And so I found myself at the end of the relationship. It was about 3 months before. And I can relate to people that have those dark thoughts and dark feelings of not wanting to be around, because I didn't. I physically was done. And I got up 3 a.m., the happy hour time that some of the magical things happen. And I laid on the bathroom floor and I said, God, I'm done. And I was wrenching, crying, because I was done and convicted in that feeling. And then I left my body. And the feelings that I felt, I was talking to someone earlier today, and people say they see lights and people and individuals. No, I was floating in the universe. Like I was around these stars I thought I could touch, and I was part of one with the universe. I was fully expanded and felt free, like complete free of anything and anything that anyone could check off a box, and of pain, suffering, emotional turmoil. And I knew it was good. I was good. And then what ended up happening was that I heard 3 simple words: love will come. And in that sense of love will come, then I came back to my body and everything changed.
That's so beautiful. That must have been, had you experienced something like that before, or was this the first time?
No, so I was in corporate world. I didn't do yoga or essential oils. I didn't do or know anything. And so when that happened, it reminded me of getting off the floor and shaking like a wet dog out of a tub. Like, what just happened? And when I woke up, my life was changed. You could say that I was like the type of person that I put rose-colored glasses on. I saw things differently. What my partner said, I'm like, man, I don't feel like I'm doing it for him. I felt like everything and every thought and every action was for me. It was a huge difference. And, I was the type of person, he created this 1940s environment, even though it was not 1940s. So I was the homemaker and the corporate job owner and the mom and the woman did all aspects of that, where he came home, read the newspaper, had his cocktail and, and that kind of thing. But I allowed that because I wanted love so much. I figured if I just kept giving. But what happens is that you give so much of yourself that for me, I was an empty shell. And at that end, there was nothing emotionally left. Look at it as I took the plug of my tub and I was completely drained. And when a person gets to that state, there really is nothing left. There's nothing left of you to think, feel, know, or even believe. I felt that, being at that space of just saying, I'm done, was a relief versus taking another breath to feel relieved. Do you get that part?
Yeah, it's
And
like
so,
when it's like when the decision is so strong and powerful that a part of you feels like it's not even your decision anymore. You've got no other option.
Right. And that's what I felt. That was my only option to feel peace. So after that, then, I didn't have time to read books or do much of anything for myself, but I went to the bookstore and I bought a shopping cart full of books and I was reading 2 and 3 a week. Do not ask me how I was doing it. It was almost like, skimming through, reading it, absorbing it instantly. And it was all making sense. Then magical things started happening. People would come up to me at the grocery store and start telling me what some would reflect as being horrendous experiences for them, physical abuse, I could go on and on. But others would, they went, what? That's crazy. But when I got past those experiences that kept happening to me, it let me know that what I was experiencing as a horrendous experience, I wasn't alone. It was their story of whatever they were saying, but I had my own story and I was living in it. So it gave me a sense, if anyone can relate, but a sense of peace knowing that you're not the only person that feels this horrible pain, It's
So
mind-blowing, really mind-blowing.
you must have discovered so much about yourself in that moment and leading up to that moment.
Yeah, to have, a person doesn't have to go through such emotional pain in order to catapult. But if you are that person and experiencing, or if it's leading up to such an experience, if you stop long enough to not view it as being so detrimental that it's taking you down, that it can lift you. So I was and is the person that didn't view things as it tearing me down. When I was 8, I was hit by a car and I always thought I was in a coma, but I actually died. And I actually found that out about 1.5 years ago that I died. And during that time, and I wanted to put that on hold because during that time in my childhood, I had some physical challenges because I had a broken jaw and some other things. But I was able to see N-O as K-N-O-W. And I didn't realize it until I got into an older adult state. And realizing now what happened to me then, and then experiencing the relationship and some of the things that I experience now, we're always going to have the ebb and flow, meaning the ups and the downs. We have to expand and grow. Some of those downs may not feel so great even to this moment, but using it as a form to catapult you. So to catapult you out of what you are perceiving is ... or catapulting you out of the physical, pain or suffering or experiencing, those 4 walls, and using it as that moment right here, right now, versus turning it into the victim or turning it into why, woe is me, right? And so because of my car accident, I believe what I had to experience in growing up, because there was a lot of lack. My parents were teenagers, and my siblings were only, my brother is a year older than me. My sister is 2 years younger. My parents were teenagers at the birth of my sister.
Wow.
They were really young. So based on that, can you imagine the lack that we had in our house? We ate a lot of pancakes and eggs for dinner. And so in that, another person could say, and focus their life on what they can't have, quote unquote. But I never lived like that, even though the experiences around me were like that. I had that childlike sense of, seeing that I lived on a beach or on, and to this day, I still visualize that, because that's a master manifester, and I am that I am. I choose that. So again, choose what you choose, right? And so I feel that those experiences that one could label as being horrible or, whatever, I used it as a form of, man, I really learned a lot in the spiritual aspect of the childlike energy. And even though there were all those things that someone would consider negative, I always did my best to see positive. Even to this day, still see positive no matter what.
And I'm so fascinated by that ability to see the same situation with two different lenses. Me and you could both, have an accident today. I could fall down my stairs after this podcast. You could fall down your stairs after this podcast. It's so fascinating how humans can look at the exact same situation, go through the exact same shit or pain.
Yep.
And one person walks away feeling blessed, and the other person walks away feeling like, oh no, God or higher power, why did this happen to me?
Right. Exactly.
Super fascinating. So Terrie, I talk about self-limiting beliefs all the time. I've said this before, I used to be the guy where if I couldn't see step 2 or 3, I would never take step 1. If I couldn't see step 10 sometimes of work or career or relationships, I wouldn't take step 1. And I talk to a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs on a daily basis, and self-limiting beliefs is consistently in every single conversation, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. I think that's the beautiful part, is we don't know what we don't know, and we don't realize how we're playing small just subconsciously. So I would love to hear your relationship with subconscious limiting beliefs, and where do you see people, maybe go the wrong way, and how do you overcome that?
I do not believe in coincidence. And so these type of things, meaning this podcast we're having, I had a client last night, so right here. This is going to answer it specifically. So here I live in trusting the answers and all that is, the collective energy. And so I might wake up and lay in bed for a few minutes and ask answers, maybe some for a specific topic or my general day. Answers will come. I'll hear it specifically and I'm like, okay. And then I take it, I hold on to it, put it in my little basket. And then if it's a specific thing, then something in that day will present itself, and then I'll take that answer out, and then I'll have confirmation, or I'll share that answer. But now reflecting back to the client, what she is trying to create in her life is that she wants to separate in an experience that she's in now and create a new one. And every time she gets to the edge of saying yes to jump into the new one, she starts to get shaking and fear. And then so that is a reflection of her trigger of the subconscious, because she says, I know I want to do this. I want to create this new experience. But when a door opens, then she won't step in. So, and she doesn't understand. So clearly right now, as I'm explaining it, that's a limiting belief. She doesn't know what it is, but she feels it, and her actions are keeping her from it, meaning she won't take the step. So then in this case, as an intuitive, I will connect into her subconscious space, and I'll tell her her story. Well, what has happened is, as a child, both her parents did everything for the two of her sisters, her and her sister, meaning they made all the decisions. All they had to do was act like a kid, and that's it. Just act like a kid. However, it depends on how long the parents do that. If they do it for the whole 17, 18, 19 years that you're living with them, then what happens is it causes a false sense of security. And then when you have to make your own decisions, you can't, or you're a procrastinator, or you get stuck. And so again, now, this is just what she chose as a child. Your soul could choose something else based on those parents, based on the experiences and what your soul and how you're choosing it. So now she has chosen that when she needs to make a rock solid decision to do something that's changing her entire life, she can't. And she now understands why. So it's a simple matter of clearing the story, quote unquote, wrapped around the false sense of security that someone else has to make the decision for you in order to move forward. And in this case, that's no longer serving her. It's keeping her back from where she wants to be. So the difference between her is that she's still living on the hamster wheel of not being able to move forward in a major life-altering decision because of the security of two others, mom and dad, that made all those decisions for her. Where me, now I have been able to clear all the limiting beliefs based on the work that I've been doing, the masters that I've trained with, and the work now that I've been doing for 13 years with others. That I live in truth. I want the truth, nothing but the truth. I receive the truth and I take guided action on it. There's the step for some that they struggle to take the action on it, where I take the action on it. Now, again, we are here to expand and grow. Lots of people come and say, what's my purpose? The answer is to expand and grow. That's what we're all here to do. And so when you take and make a decision that might turn into an end result that might feel uncomfortable. And I know everybody on this podcast has probably said, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And that's the truth, that happens for you. But then when you are doing it, get through it, reflect back on it. What was it that I needed from that? Was it to have set more boundaries? Was it to, because I knew what I knew, but I did it anyway. Meaning you knew that it was a no, but you did it anyway. And then learn and grow and trust. Trust into the yes, the no, and the maybe. Let's forget the maybe. I call it the space in between the yes and the no, meaning it gives you a little more time so that you can clarify, meaning not getting in your head, but allowing things to come to you for your answers, allowing you to feel into it, and then make the answer go into the yes or the no state. I made a decision on that many years ago. I wanted to work with this very well-known motivational speaker. If I gave you her name, everybody knows this woman. And she had a program, and they were pushing sign here, sign here, sign here. And I'm like, I want to do this. Because in my heart, I wanted to take that level up. But something, the intuitive aspect, that little seed was saying, So I said, you know what? Here's your pen. If it's for me, I got to meditate. So it was the maybe space. So the next day I wasn't getting answers, but I hadn't gotten to the no yet. So it went into the second day, and one of her coworkers or co-people called, and they were doing everything to show me that it was the best program. And I said, I just one more day. So I went to the third day, and I was talking to the girl. She was very open. It was perfect for my soul. And it gave me the answer to the no. But what I needed to know for me, again, I stay for me, because what I experience and what I feel is not necessarily what you experience and feel. But it told me, I know my weaknesses and my strength. My strengths are to be live, to have live record or live sessions, or work with a person one-on-one. Don't do very well with recorded podcasts and modules and things like that. Others do, or can deal with both live and recorded. My weakness, I struggle with that a little bit because I'm doing so much. A lot of her program was recorded, and I couldn't get the information out until I gave it a little gap to get the information. And then I said, there it is. So I was taking a little more time here because people have a tendency to forget the maybe state.
I love the way you described the yes, no, and the maybe. And you said the word guided action, which I think is much better than just action, because action without intention or action just for the sake of action is like acting productive just to be productive. It doesn't really make sense, right? So my question for you is, do you have any practices, rituals, tactics, strategies, processes on how people can take guided action when they're in this state of yes, no, maybe? And also, as you were speaking, it reminded me of this story of, it's not really a story, it's just an image that really lands and resonates in the back of my brain. Is there's this baby elephant in a circus, and when he's born, the trainers tie him to this really small like stake in the ground, right? The elephant probably weighs hundreds of pounds, the stake weighs 2 pounds, but the elephant sees that stake as, okay, I'm stuck, I can't move, I can't get out. Now, over the course of years, the elephant gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Now it's, a ton or 2 tons. I don't know how much elephants weigh, but the elephant is now fully grown, but this small 2-pound stake in the ground still keeps him perceived. He perceives this stake in the ground as he still can't move it. Now he's stronger, he's wiser, he's older. He weighs enough to pull that stake out of the ground and just break free. But it's these self-limiting chains that keep us stuck no matter. And I've got tons of stories about my upbringing, my past, bullying, being fat shamed, like growing up in a house where money was always a conversation. There's so many stories that I now at 31 still feel like that chain is capping me sometimes.
Yeah.
But back to my question, do you have practices and strategies on how people can take that guided action?
Yeah. And I love that story because that's exactly what that little stake was, that little 2 ounce or 1 pound wood holding a 2-ton elephant. And that is actually the limiting belief right there. I live what I breathe, and I breathe it, I live it, I say it, I do it, I walk the walk, talk the talk. So as I train and I teach, I do what I say that I'm teaching. So I'm glad you're asking that, because I do find that quite a few will teach and then not live their teachings. And I'm very interesting how to see that. But, I know we're really busy in our lifestyles. We feel like that the busier we are, the more successful we are. And that again is a limiting belief, right? And, I've got quite a few things going on, but I still quiet my mind in the morning, asking for specific answers. I trust the answers. I love the flashes that I get. I'm so special. I love that when I get a flash, then it's telling me I need to tell the story. So when we say we want something and the answer comes to you, more than enough people, more than I would want to even count, will say to themselves, that's a coincidence, or I want to see it this other way. And they won't take the first one. The first is the truth. And when you're trusting within the truth, and when you receive it, it's then how you respond to it, right? And, I spent 5 years on a psychic website, and quite a few times the one question I never really liked to answer was, is my partner cheating on me? I really don't like to answer that, because I always felt, well, if you're asking a psychic, then you already know the answer. And it's uncomfortable to give the truth, especially like that in that case. And if we all just hone in and trust what we already know sometimes, right? or what we're feeling, or the answers around us. I was just having a conversation with someone who has a new website, and he decided to create this new website. It's all wrapped around ayahuasca. And I've never done it. I don't have any challenges, any judgment on it. I only know about it. And I thought, how interesting that, he has stepped into that and wanting that, but then you have to make sure that you don't judge on that, right? So when I lost my train of thought on what I was doing. Isn't that funny? Because I had 5,000 things come into me at the same time. What was I talking about?
You're just talking about like guided action, how you teach, what you preach, and vice versa.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Because that's what happens. My brain is like, all of a sudden, 5,000 things come in at the same time because they want me to tell various different stories. So, when something, in his case, that's what he decided to do and take guided action on it. Mm-hmm. But most of the time people will, I remember now. He said before he decided to do it, he went to Peru to check it out. But then when he came home, he still didn't feel quite connected. And that's the case that he wanted to do in the direction. He felt it made a difference in his wife's and his life, but he wasn't sure. And within one day, 5 different people had mentioned. Now, how many people out of the blue will just even talk about ayahuasca? And so those can be true signs. Listen up. We're going to tell you. We're going to keep telling you, meaning those answers can come from various different forms and being the same topic in various different ways. So there is where I live. When I see it, I feel it, I know it, take guided action. When you're getting answers, or somebody tells you 3 times, different people or different experiences, you see different ways, but the same result, listen up, take action. So it can be all right in front of you. So I know that you were asking me clearly, what guidelines, where do I go, what do I do? But it's a lifestyle. So as I teach intuitive development, there's so many different things as a 1,000-piece puzzle. But when you get all the pieces together, it's a masterpiece. And so, you have to trust. You have to live in gratitude. You have to be able to clear your mind and bring in the answers. You have to take guided action, guided action, guided action, right? And then and be in service. Many people think that to be in service, you have to be a healthcare provider or a healer or whatever. No, I break it down. You can be the one that seems to be holding the door open every time you walk into an establishment. That's the service that you're in, or the one that everyone calls when they really need to be talked off the ledge. That's being in service also. So being more present. Are you truly present in your life? Are you seeing some of the things that I even just described that is happening that you may not realize that are happening? If you don't realize, then you're not present. The more present you are, the more you will see. You hear the lawnmower out the window and the birds singing, and you're not even listening for the birds. You hear the birds.
Ooh, I love that. That was a mic drop moment for me.
There you go.
That was beautiful. I have these moments virtually every morning at 5 a.m. It's like the best hour of my life. It's no one's awake. Well, at least not in my house. No one's awake. The sun is not up yet. Morning tea, meditation, gratitude, journal, a little bit of movement, visualization. If I could rinse and repeat that to be every hour of my day, I think I would be on cloud 9. Like that first hour of my day is the most sacred time I think I have. And just to your point, the birds chirping, I see the trees differently. It's everything about the morning is so different.
Yeah. And it gives you a sense of feeling like you're present, like you are one with everything, participating in their bird songs, even though you're not the bird, right?
I love that.
And that's true. Yes. And that's truly being present. Going back to the client who wants to change her life, I said, are you beginning to hear what the words that are not being said? You know, something just recently happened to me where I was hearing the words that weren't being said. But I sit back as a person, look at it as like you've got a group of people. There might be a select one that just sits there and listens to everyone. Well, I live life like that. I do participate and talk and, have fun, but I'll find myself really honing into hearing in between the lines or between the words or the octaves in certain words that lots and lots of people are missing. And so I was hearing or seeing in between the words not being spoken. And that moment, and it just recently happened for me, I was laying in bed and I said, I want to answer a particular thing, please. I'd like to have it. And I heard, you can't come, so loud. And I said, wow, well, that's not what I was hearing by the words of the other. And so later that day, as I was spending some time listening, right, and hearing what I wasn't hearing, you know what I'm saying? Wasn't hearing the words that would have cleared and clarified the opposite of what my meditation gave me. And then at the end of the day, I presented and opened up avenues to communicate. And lo and behold, after spending an hour or so of that person saying, no, 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 finally said, well, let me just tell you the truth. And those exact words came out.
Wow.
So many people will get nervous about the truth. I don't know if I want it. Like the truth that their partner might be cheating, or the person's not into them, or they might get fired. Wouldn't you rather know the truth though? The truth that you're not listening, or or you don't want to listen because your parents might have been coming at you all the time, so you've learned to cut your ear chakras out. So it's an opportunity to shift and change within yourself. But it's not a time to think that you're any less than who you are. It's a time to know that what they interpret their truth and why they're interpreting that truth. And as long as there's no judgment can be the killer of all, right?
Yeah. And I think that's why that word alone, judgment, whether it's self-judgment or the judgment from your peers or your partner or parents, spouse, kids, you name it, that judgment can wreak havoc on your dreams, your life, your day-to-day, to the point where you get to that bathroom moment where you have nothing else but to, my friend Elia calls it, and it's similar to what you just said, like that crying on the bathroom floor moment.
Yeah.
Like, I think we all have a crying on the bathroom floor moment where we said, to your point earlier, like enough's enough, like this can't be it, there's got to be more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And when you get the truth, no matter what, and there's no judgment, you can actually see how I loved when you started with self-judgment, because in that particular relationship, I've been seeing how much he had so much of self-judgment, of his own self-judgment, and how it was caused by his upbringing. Again, the subconscious limiting beliefs, because that's what he experienced, an unpleasant childhood, and that he's not good enough. So every time that I would say something that would trigger him not feeling good enough, I would think about what I said, and I would say to myself, I wasn't saying anything about him. I was reflecting on the environment. But because of him not feeling good enough, everything he heard me say was him thinking he's not good enough. It was completely the opposite of what I was getting, what I was sharing. So it's
like you hear what you want to hear. Right. You could call me any word in the world. How I perceive that word is going to dictate the emotions, the stories I'm telling myself. And it's so fascinating you just said that. I had something similar happen recently where I think somebody gave me a compliment, but I totally took it the wrong way. And I almost I got upset at myself because I was like, oh shit, this person is like calling me ugly. And the words had nothing to do with ugly. Like it was a genuine compliment, but in the moment and how I perceived it, I completely took it the wrong way.
Yeah. And then obviously it was caused by, and the feeling, how you took it, because the feeling triggered like, I call it like a screwdriver in the back,
Yeah,
turning it.
totally.
It was the feeling you felt, and then you go to your head to
Mm-hmm.
try to figure out that feeling. But then when you reflect back, how were you treated as a young child? Did it make you feel less attractive or less of who you felt you really wanted to be and had to fight to feel that way?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Terrie, you say you can't do it alone. So decide what you need and what you want.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because a lot of people listening to this right now are business
Whew.
owners. They're
Yep.
entrepreneurs. They say, and it's true, and it's also untrue, that entrepreneurship is a lonely road, right?
I know, I've
I've
been
got
one.
it is, but I do have mixed feelings about it because you can change it. But
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about why it's so important to determine what it is you want and how do you go about getting it?
Yep. So I'm going to separate the two from someone who works a 9 to 5 job and then someone who's an entrepreneur. So the 9 to 5, I lived it, did it, and I was just like all of you, you know, I can figure it out on my own. I'll just read a book. I'll watch YouTube. I got this. Someone will just tell me. And you'll go on for years and years and years and years until you wake up and 10 years later, you still haven't figured it out. Now, you may have chiseled away part of what it is that you're wanting to figure out, but you still haven't reaped the rewards for finally getting it all together. And then finally you say, man, maybe I should invest 2,000, 5,000, get a coach, get a course, work one-on-one with an investor or whatever it is that you're interested in doing. And then all of a sudden things become easy, or you get it more quicker. So it has to resonate with you, but it doesn't have to last 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, or even a year. You have to choose that it gets to a certain point where, years ago, my first business was a bakery. And when I stepped into it, I knew all the business side, but I didn't know too much of the baking side.
It should be the opposite way
I
around.
know, you would think. I made it grow very quickly, but woo, it was tough. But I figured, I'd say, I figured it out. I'll get it out. I'll talk to people. And then when I realized, you want to get where you want to be. You want to feel grounded. You want to feel whole. You want to feel safe. Meaning in yourself and in your environment. And you want what you want in the end, whatever that end result is. So you can't do it alone. A doctor can't operate on themselves. My daughter told me that when she was like 5 years old. I don't even remember what we were doing. She goes, mommy, a doctor can't operate on themselves. And I'm like, whoa, seriously. And to this day, she's 22 now. And I still believe and I hear it. And so you have to decide how long you want your time frame, your line, your end result to get. If you're going to constantly say, I'll figure it out, I'll read another 10 books, I'll watch more videos, are you really truly investing in your end result? Right? It's going to take a little bit more. So if you're stuck, you need more clarity, you want to be centered around more population, whatever it is, then you have to take or invest in something to get there. So sometimes not just time is an investment. It's called abundance. And you have to use some of that in order to get where you are. And so then talking corporate side. So and I love this one because it just happened for me personally. So because I believe what I do 100%, I trust what I see, I trust what I know, I take guided action, a master manifester. Been since I was little, still do it. And about 4 months ago, when I was really thinking about where my finances were and all of that, right? And then when I stuck in traffic, 2 months before that, I was just watching a bunch of videos. First off, thinking it. So thinking looking at my finances and thinking where I want to be. How much time do I have, where I want to be, and what I want. So thinking it. Feeling how much is in the bank, feeling the end result of where I want to be, right? Feeling comfort, feeling spontaneity, feeling ease and grace, right? And then what do I have to do to get that? Meaning take a guided action on it. So when I started looking at everything, I'm like, okay, let's see what's out there. I like real estate. So I started watching all these various different Bitcoin, flipping houses, renovating, all of these different things. But it wasn't going cling, cling, cling for me yet. I was just, zone. I was zoned, just waiting for it to go, I feel it, right? But I was educating. And then I was stuck in traffic for 3 hours, and I'm like, okay, let's make this happen, universe. I need an answer. What direction should I go? What should I do? Because I'm ready. You blink and it's 5 years. I blink and it's instantaneous. So let's make it happen in my world. That's what I said. And then instantly I saw two faces inside, right here in my nugget. I called them both while I was stuck in traffic. One called me back right away. I hadn't talked to the guy in 5 years. Within 48 hours, I was in his office for 5 hours. With the next day, I signed on the dotted line. So because number one, I saw his face, I trust the universe. I had not seen a guy in 5 years. Come on, there's no coincidence to have that come into me. I've already experienced the guy, so it gave me a sense of knowing he's a family guy, very trustworthy. I'd worked with him years ago for 10 years. So, and nobody's going to change that fast. So I knew that he still lived in that capacity. Plus I saw him on Facebook. So kind of already the life I was living naturally, I was already connecting to what I already knew. You still with me, right? And then listening to where I could be, knowing his background, knowing when I worked with him, I'm like, this is a no-brainer. That's why I signed so quick. And I also invested, meaning I signed and invested in me to do something that I could learn, to shift, to create another stream of income. So with all entrepreneurs, this is where I now just moved it over to the entrepreneur side, because I've been one for 13 years. That if you're still learning to trust, you have to work on that first. If you're still waiting to trust your answers, you got to work on that first. If you have a lot of limiting beliefs on lack, got to work on that first. So you see, there's so many things you may have to work on first before you can take that action like I did. But I've spent all that time working on that. So as an entrepreneur, are you finding that you're getting a lot of roadblocks? Are you finding that things are deteriorating in one aspect of your life? You could have a successful career and a lousy personal life, or the opposite. They're all the same. Everybody says, oh, we'll draw the line, it's separate. It's all the same. So you have to just figure out, meaning you can't do it alone. It's the subconscious that's working on you and with you and around you and guiding you, that you have to take action on it. And how long are you going to wait before you take that action?
Beautifully said. And I actually just thought of a question while you were speaking, and it's a question I've never asked anyone before. But
Ooh.
I feel compelled to ask you this because this is
Yes.
how it's coming out. How can you stack the universe odds in your favor to take more action? How do you stack the universe odds in your favor to get more out of life?
Trust. The thing is, a person wakes up, and let's focus on the entrepreneur. They wake up and the first thing is they might grab their phone, start thinking about what they have to do for the day, hurry up and get ready, hurry up and eat, got a whole bunch of things to do. So when you have these spaces, these little nuggets of time in the shower, brushing your teeth, putting your shoes on, Those are little nuggets of time. There shouldn't be anything in your head. That's a mini meditation
I don't
session.
know if entrepreneurs can, I would say even when they're tying their shoes, they're thinking about business.
Exactly. But I've been an entrepreneur for 13 years, very successful and wanted that, and now creating another business. So yes, the world is not going to end and you're not going to meet a deadline if you take these little mini meditation sessions, clear your mind. Before you clear it, ask what it is that you need to answer. Now, don't say, should I work with Steve and put that $3 million in for the end result of that equity transaction? No, because if you're not trusting it already, do you trust that? How does it feel? Are you in the maybe state, right? And then moving into, but trusting the universe will give you your answers and taking guided action. Tell people, are you starting to ask, man, I'd love to take a trip. I want to go somewhere. And you might be at the kitchen table while you're eating your toast and thinking about it. And then you get in the car and you go on your merry way. Hello, did you just see the bus that went by saying visit Tahiti? Because it works like that. Or you were walking and getting a cup of coffee at Starbucks and the person was on the phone saying, I can't wait till we go to Guatemala. That is no coincidence. The universe puts you in that path to hear that answer.
This happens daily and weekly. I swear, when me and my girlfriend are talking about something, it's not even, sometimes 10 minutes goes by and we're out or we're in the elevator and someone says something and we just look at each other like, how the F did that just happen?
You go, woo,
like,
thank you, universe.
I'm serious. Sometimes not even 10 minutes later. And it could be the most random thought on the planet that we've never had before in this house. And we'll talk about, like you just said, we'll talk about like Costa Rica, or we'll talk about visiting a destination. And then, oh, you know what was insane is we were going to, pre-pandemic, we were actually moving or had the plan of moving to Barcelona, Spain. Mm-hmm. And one day we're out getting groceries and all of a sudden we look and we see a kid running with a Barcelona soccer jersey on.
Nice.
And then we get home and we're like, that was interesting. And we didn't realize that one of the paintings in our house, the words were BCN, which were acronyms of Barcelona. And all these things just started happening. And it was the freakiest, but also the most powerful feeling that I had in a long time.
Yes. And it does happen, like you said, quite often. The girlfriend, she's talking about moving to Vermont. And she said yesterday, she goes, Terrie, and I'm teaching her a little bit of what I know. She goes, yesterday I had 5 experiences, all with VT, Vermont. Somebody like you, similar, with a shirt that had the logo of the University of Vermont. Somebody drinking a cup that said Vermont. And I said, well, there's your answer. How many more, like I call lightning rods, do you need to hit you? Or lightning strikes, right? But it does work like that. So as an entrepreneur, you have to trust within you, not trust what's in your head. I always say, if you could cut your head off, how's your body feel? Is it heavy on your chest? Love. Everything is about love. Is it heavy in your stomach? That's fear, the portal of emotions. So if you already got fear and it's heavy there, oh my gosh, you got fear of love or fear of losing your love. And love could be your corporate experience or your business as an entrepreneur. The fear of losing your love, right? So there is where, what does your body feel like? If your shoulders feel heavy, perception of burden, left side is mom, is it too heavy on the left side? That kind of stuff, body holds it certain ways.
So Terrie, I've got 3 final questions before we wrap. And the first one is, what are you most excited about in the next 60 days?
Ooh, actually, to tell you the truth, it's this new endeavor that I'm stepping into. But it's something that I love to learn. And I think I've been sitting around in this pandemic for a bit. And I thought, and I've been wanting brings something new to me. And so there it is, something new, and being in service in a different form. So it's actually note investing, and it's distress notes. And so it's keeping the people in their house. Again, me being in service, doing the best I can and how I can help, but also being able to help myself. And there's the entrepreneur part of it. So again, I don't want anyone to go, ooh, that's ego. No, no. It's the ebb and flow of abundance. right? What you give out can come back. You want it to come back. So what you give out, you bring in. What you bring in, you have to give out. The ebb and flow of being in service. So, but it's a win-win for everybody when it's done properly. Yeah.
I love that.
So that's what I'm excited about.
My next question, outside of your own book, have there been books in your life that have had a big impact on you, transformative impact on you, that you'd recommend?
Isn't that funny? Every once in a while, not that often about the books and the ones that I recommend. My very first book in this spiritual journey, I'll never forget, Creative Visualization. It was the very first one. It fell off the bookshelf. I'll tell people, say, this book fell off. It fell off. It literally was the very first one. I was still in the relationship. And I was understanding how the mind can create things. And it was Psychic 101, man. And that one really, because if you feel like you're living so far out, you might be the single mom or the couple who has all the kids, or you have a business and you're running all of that. So you're running it, it's running you. You got to step back, clear the mind, allow creative visualization to take its course. That's how you manifest. Think it, feel it, take guided action. So it really was pretty powerful. Yeah. Creative visualization. And then, all the other ones, most people, if you're in the spiritual realm, Wayne Dyer was huge in my world. I was trying to manifest meeting him. I was very close before he transitioned and passed away. But anything Wayne Dyer, Esther Hicks, I call her Psychic 101, understanding, the thought, the thinking, the feeling, how you can heal yourself. Very interesting story. To give a little story just very quickly, how to heal yourself. The body can heal. You have to really, really trust it. I went to an event. I fell. I partially tore a ligament in my foot. So here I am. It was New Year's Eve. And I remember the doctors counting down as I'm in morphine because the pain was so awful. And I said to myself, no, this is going to be okay very shortly, very quickly. And I remember I got home and so much pain, foot was like there. And I said to myself, and I had a stick shift at the time. I'm going to be driving my car with my stick shift, meaning I had to push the foot on the what do you call that? What is this? What do you call the word? You're changing gears? The clutch. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I had to push the bad foot on the clutch. So you can imagine the pain I was going to feel. But I said, no, I will be driving that car in 7 days. And no doctors, everybody's like, no, you have to go to an orthopedic. No, you'll be in that cast for 6 months. Nope. I was driving that car by Friday in there. And I drove, actually, I got stuck in traffic. I was driving for like an hour and 20 minutes. So you can imagine being stuck in traffic and then the clutch on and off. And I got in heels in 2 months, and they told me it was going to be 8 months. So I'm not telling everybody that, oh, don't listen to your doctors, because I did listen to my doctors. But as we have learned that doctors will tell you, fresh out of surgery or fresh out of something, you have to start walking on it. It's the best thing you could have done. And I said to myself, I'm going to heal my body. I've walked through pain, the physical, the emotional, when I was dealing with that relationship. I can walk through it again. And I just moved through it, and I healed myself quicker and got to the end result of what I wanted to happen. So what's your third one?
Isn't that something you put your mind to something and it happens?
Right. Oh, the books. Yeah. So Esther Hicks, Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle is a very good one. Brandon Bouchard. So corporate world. I recommended a lot of books when I was still in the corporate world, but also overlapping the spiritual realm of what I was doing. I was handing his book out like candy. Manifest Manifesto.
Yes, I have heard of that one. Yep.
Awesome book. I gave it to so many people, but it helps. It was a motivational type, but it helps you also to see things differently.
And my last question. Tomorrow morning, everyone wakes up in the world. Every city, every country, every continent wakes up tomorrow morning, opens up their bedroom blinds, and everybody in the world is looking at the exact same billboard. Except tomorrow, Terrie gets to control the message on the billboard for the entire world to see. what message would you share with the world?
That billboard, I'm happy to see you. You know, when you're seeing that, it's like a reflection to see you. So, are you happy to see you? Are you happy to be where you are? And I'm not talking about the four walls and the experience of your partners and your work. You. Are you really proud of you and what you're doing in the world, how you're sharing the world, how you're seeing the world? Are you really happy? If you're not happy, then those where you just take it, that little seed, and laser focus on that to dig out why it isn't you're not happy with. And please, again, you, not your partner making you unhappy, not the job that you have that's not paying you enough, not the COVID that's keeping you indoors. Are you very happy where you are? Because I am happy to see you. I am.
Love it. Beautifully said, Terrie. And before I forget, where is the best place for people to scour you and stalk you on the internet?
Man, all you have to do is Google Terrie Christine and there you are. I've got like 5 pages of stuff, but I can be found. I have many videos on YouTube, little caveats, snippets of time that I can help you in something you might currently be going through. I have a website, terriechristine.com. I actually have some videos of some hands-on healing, some readings that I've done, so you can actually see that I am who I am, and I really do what I do very profoundly, as a matter of fact, because I love to help. And I can be found on Facebook, where I do live Facebook lives, and bring on some of my students and give little caveats of funness. Oh my God, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn,
You're everywhere.
I'm on all of it. And then,
Easy to
I'll,
find.
yep. And then this podcast and so many other podcasts, even on Bravo, I was on Bravo, you know, and then my book is on Amazon, The Secret Power of You.
Awesome. And we'll link all that up. Terrie, this was an incredible conversation. Thank you for giving me a little bit of those lightning rod moments today, as you would call them.
Nice.
And I can't wait to just continue growing and serving. So thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for holding the space for all of us and allowing others to see things just slightly differently.